Hey, how the devil are you? Okay, so what have I got for you today? Oh, by the way, I haven't got a bad stomach. It's this bloody chair. So don't think it's me doing that, okay? Didn't have a curry yesterday or plate of beans. No. Anyway, so what I've got today is the Yamaha A-S500. Now, I recently reviewed the Yamaha A-S501, the newer version of this. And even though I liked it, I didn't feel it was any better than my Marantz amp PM6007. So I just sent it back because I already had an amp that I liked. I thought it might have been a bit more powerful, but it really wasn't. It didn't sound any better than the Marantz, but it didn't sound any worse either. It was just as good. So what's the point in wasting money? I'll send it back. But then I seen this beauty for sale on Facebook Marketplace for £110. I offered him £90 and he accepted the 90 and I went and picked it up. Now, bit of a story behind this, so you can skip this bit if you want. But when I got there, I didn't ask him to test it. I just bought it as it was. I said to him, is it all working fine? Everything all fine? He goes, yeah, all working fine. Great. So I paid 90, give him the 90 quid, came home, put it on, and it was cracking and popping all over the place. Schoolboy error. Okay, stupid. I should have asked him to test it first. It was cracking and popping all over the place. It was unlistenable. So I messaged the guy, told him what was happening and said, you know, what's the score, mate? And he said, I'm really sorry. I should have tested it. And I thought I should have tested it. Asked him to test it as well. Please bring it back and I'll give you the money back. And I was like, oh, I'm gutted. I really wanted this amp. And he said, so I said to him, has it been in storage? He said, yeah, well, it hasn't been in storage, but he's been up in my bedroom for over a year, maybe even longer. So it could have been up there for a while, not being used. The bedroom could be a bit damp. So I thought, maybe it just needs a good clean. And maybe the pots and the things needed some contact cleaner in them, spray it all out and fingers crossed it might work. So I bought some contact cleaner, took off the lid, it was full of cobwebs. I should have videoed that really, but it was full of cobwebs and dust, cleaned it all out, took all the knobs off, stripped them all down, contact sprayed the lot, put it back together. Would you believe? Bam! It worked. Yes! Okay, so I was well chuffed. But then I messaged the guy back and said, listen, now I wouldn't have paid that amount of money for an amp that wasn't working and I had to semi-repair, okay? It didn't really have to do a lot, just clean it and contact spray it. But I had to buy the contact cleaner, which is, I think, almost 10 quid. So I said, any chance of a bit of a refund, like 20 quid or something? And he said, yeah. So on PayPal, he refunded me £20. So I got it for 70 quid. Woohoo! But the guy was very honest. He didn't realise it wasn't working. So there you go. Anyway, so back to the amp. Okay, so this is the older version of the 501. Came out in about 2008, 2009, I think, I'd imagine. And it was very highly rated back at the time. A very good amp, but not a lot of money. I think it was about 300 quid or something like that when it came out. Or maybe even less. So what's it got? You got your on-off button, remote sensor, headphone jack, speakers, off, A, and B, if you want to buy wire, add more speakers at higher ohms. You've got, though this function is obviously been left off the 501, the newer version, probably for good reason because people don't record much anymore. But it's handy to have if you do record, because what you can do, say you want to record a CD, and you've got a tape deck or a mini disc player or a CD recorder and you want to record a CD, you can set this to CD, start recording, and what you can do then, set this your input button or selector to tuner the radio, and you can listen to the radio while the CD is recording. You haven't got to leave it on the CD input. So that's handy if you do record out. I probably won't use that function, but it's there if I do need it. Then you've got your tone controls, bass, treble, balance, variable loudness. Now, I do like this variable loudness that the Yamahas use. Basically what you do, you set your volume to the max volume you would listen to it, and when that's on flat, and then this acts as the volume button. And rather than just have a loudness button that goes on and off, the bass and treble adjust itself as you turn the volume up. So it lowers the bass and treble a little bit as you turn the volume up till it goes flat again to the max volume. So it works very well, and it's a handy little function. Then you've got your input selector here. You've got line 3, line 2, line 1, CD, tuner, dock, which that's I think for an iPod or whatever, and a phono stage. Then you've got your pure direct mode, which defeats the tone controls completely. Now be aware, if you are using the loudness control on this, and you've got that set to the max volume that you're listening to, and you've got that set there to the low, I think it was minus 10 dB, and you turn on the pure direct, it defeats all that, and it blasts at you. Wow! Okay, blow your head off. So just be careful that you set this down a bit, turn that back to normal again before you initiate the pure direct. So let's have a look on the back. Okay, on your back you've got your phono with your ground here, all your line inputs there. I think this is record out, one of these. Your tuner, CD. Not sure what this is for here, but it doesn't have a USB in it or anything like that. It is from like 2009, so, but it does have an iPod dock, which probably is obsolete now, unless you've got an old iPod lying around, an iPod Nano or something like that. You can plug it in there and it will play from your iPod. You've got a subwoofer out, which is handy. If you want a bit more oomph, 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 okay, if you want that, you got it. Then you've got your speaker binding posts, obviously A and B, and then you've got your impedance selector. And like they got this on a lot on Yamahas. I would just leave it alone, okay. You can set it accordingly to what home speaker you're using. I've got it on high at the moment, which it comes set at. Now, be aware that this does not have a built-in DAC. There's no DAC in this at all. Not a biggie for me, because obviously if you use a CD player with a DAC in, or you go an external DAC, you just use that. And I've got both. I've got a CD with a DAC in, and I also have a topping E50 as well, which is a very decent DAC, so I just use that if I want to use it, listen to any digital sources, or I can just connect my CD player direct to it and then use the DAC in the CD player. So it's not a real deal breaker there. For some people it might be, but you've got to think really how good are the DACs in these integrated amplifiers. They're not the best in the world. Once they spend the money on all the other things in there, are they going to spend a lot of money on an expensive DAC and integration into the amp? Probably not. Okay, they're going to try and do it as cheaply as possible and still give you a decent sound, but not the best. And that's why I always recommend getting an external DAC with a better integration and a better DAC chip as well. So, how does it sound? Well, funny enough, I did a sound test. Let's have a listen. Well, for me personally, for an amp that's, you know, came out or was designed in 2008, 2009, it sounds bloody good. Not bad at all, especially for a budget amp. So you can see they've saved money on some of the knobs and buttons and things like that, no DAC in it. But they seem to have spent the money on the actual, you know, the gubbings of it. I think it sounds very good. Really spacious, good bass, good treble. Maybe it's maybe slightly high in the treble, but you can always adjust it with the treble tone controls. But for me, it didn't sound too trebly at all. But some people have mentioned that it is quite a bright amp. But I didn't really find that. I thought it sounded really good. Stereo separation is really good. I can't grumble with it at all, considering, you know, it's a budget amp, and how cheap it was to buy when it came out. And I've only paid 70 quid for it. I'm really chuffed, really happy with it. Now, I did find a guy from Australia that did some benchmark tests on it, and he gushed about this amp. Let's go over and have a look at that benchmark test. I won't read it all, but I will put a link in the description box below, so you can sort of go to that and have a little look at the full report. But I just want to show you a few things on it, what he said. Okay, this is the kind of review and benchmark test of the AS500 I found online. I think there's a couple of, so it's an Australian website, I believe, an Australian web hi-fi site that reviews hi-fis and things. And so just want to point you to some things that these guys are saying here. I believe the word is sleeper. Okay, that sounds a bit cryptic. What I mean is that every so often, and not so often to tell the truth, comes an audio component that's so good, yet so understated that it flies under the radar of those who should know better. Yamaha's AS500 integrated amplifier is just one of those components. And if you look, what does he finish off? Conclusion. As you've probably gathered, I was very impressed by the Yamaha's AS500, seriously impressed. And I was absolutely floored by the price. Why isn't this amplifier a cult favourite, whispered about with hushed reverence by those who know? But then it hit me. Perhaps Yamaha has set the recommended retail price for this amplifier too low. Prices of all hi-fi components have rocketed skywards in recent years, and the result is that many people might well think that the amplifier selling for less than £1 or two could not deliver such a high level of performance for the money Yamaha is asking. So my hot tip of the year is that if you're in the market for a high-powered, high-performance audiophile quality integrated amplifier, you need to look no further. And this is from a guy called Craig Borrowman. And then you got some of the test results here. And again, I'll put the link below in the description box. You can have a look at it. And excuse me. And again, this guy, Steve Holden, says, I found the Yamaha AS500 to be an exceptionally well-designed amplifier with an extremely high standard of construction. It's powerful, electrically well-behaved, with very low noise levels and distortion, and a very flat and extended frequency response. Truly an outstanding amplifier in every aspect in its performance. And I have to agree with him. This is a very good amp for the money it is, for the money it was, and still is. Okay, it hasn't got a DAC, but personally, I think this sounds better than the newer model. I think it's a little bit more open, a little bit more spacious, measures better. I know measurements don't mean a lot. You know, it's these that matter really. I mean, you can look on paper for measurements, think, oh, that's got great measurements on amp. You get the amp and you hate it. It can happen. So measurement's not the be-all and end-all, but it does give you a good idea how well the amp is made. But I have to say, the measurements and my ears are saying the same thing. It's a very nice amp, very detailed, very clear, very concise. And I'd say it's better than the 501, and I would say it's a little bit better than my Marantz PM6007. Controversial. All the PM6007 owners now, why are you owner? I'll come round your house and I'll... So anyway, very good amp, very happy with it. If you do see one in good nick, get it. Okay, anyway, thanks for watching. I'll catch you in the next video.